Welcome to the Bible Dialogues. I'm Mike Whitney, your host. I hope to share a series about interpreting eschatology. What then is eschatology? Eschatology can be seen as the study of last things or the end of things. My hope would be for Christians to have a balanced concept of eschatological topics, but this process could take some time. I may share theories that people reject, but even in those situations, people may learn important ideas for interpreting Scripture. It helps to begin with the end. There may be different ends in mind, but a good starting point for this concept appears in Matthew 24:3, where the disciples inquire, "What will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" It can be asked what end the disciples had in mind. The end of transitional events, the end of the world, or the end of an era. One problem existing here is that commentators have not seemed to examine the type of end the disciples would have in mind. I will not go into deep word studies here, but rather the background ideas about an end shared in the Scriptures. Hippolytus, when writing about the start of the 3rd century, assumed there was an end of the physical world so as to be replaced by a whole new earth. These early writers viewed the world only as being corrupted and in turmoil. This is also why Matthew 24:3 is sometimes translated as end of the world. Another weak assumption is where people think that Jesus had introduced a unique end concept that was shared with the disciples, but never recorded within the Gospels. This then could be proposed to be the end of the world, which almost makes sense with the apocalyptic language that follows in Matthew 24. In such proposals, the basic interpretation process has been overlooked. People then miss a valid challenge to a popular concept concerning Matthew 24 and other eschatological passages. Nevertheless, the present effort is to examine the end of the age or any other senses of an end found within Scripture. We must return to what the disciples would see as the end of the age. Several passages can be examined as a starting point, and these passages can be considered together when defining the type of an end explicit in Scripture. There are several, but we'll just look at two for now. Deuteronomy 32:28-29, speaking of Israel, we read, "For they are a nation void of counsel, and there is no understanding in them. If they were wise, they would understand this. They would discern their latter end." Daniel 4 hears it said, "Behold, I will make known to you what shall be at the latter end of the indignation," for it refers to the appointed time of the end. Several additional verses in Daniel speak of an end. An apparent root for Daniel's use appears in Deuteronomy 32:29, as we read, that regards an end anticipated by Moses. Daniel also has a focus on Israel, especially as Judah was reaching the end of the 70-year exile in Babylon. For now, we can disregard issues distinct from Israel, notably regarding 4 empires in Daniel. The quick point of them is that those empires are mentioned in the context of a judgment of Israel. Of special interest, the close wording of the latter end can be observed between Deuteronomy 32:29 and Daniel 8:19. Additionally, the end of verse 19 appears in connection with the destruction of the sanctuary found in verse 11, thus creating a close association with Matthew 24:3, where they ask when is the destruction of the temple going to happen, as well as similarity to the broad text of Matthew 24. An additional relationship of Daniel 12 with Deuteronomy 32:29 occurs both with the emphasis of wisdom in Daniel 12:3 and the loss of power of the Israel people, verse 7, and the mention of an end. This end concerns all things mentioned in Daniel, which includes the loss of the city and the sanctuary and the end of their power. The whole of Daniel applies to the fate of Israel while providing signs of hope, such as an everlasting righteousness in Daniel 9:24 and resurrection in Daniel 12:2-3. There may be other passages that speak of an end similarly to what Daniel shows, However, it seems unlikely that any other senses exist other than already described. No concern about an end of the world seems to appear anywhere. Going forward, some examinations of shocking statements within the apocalyptic language will be necessary, as if they're sharing the end of the world. But that examination would expectantly show such language constrained to the events described in Daniel. And the language befits in its vividness scenarios such as the shattering of the people of Israel, of such a significant and drastic event. Consequently, the examination of eschatology in the passages described should first give emphasis to circumstances surrounding the Israel people. The details effectively appear to reflect a Jewish eschatology. If you are a Christian, I hope this triggers your desire to sneak deeper into the scriptures. If you are Jewish, the content of Daniel should be of interest to you as part of your heritage and may give insights to troubles of the past. Please pray for me and the ministry for best service to Christ and his people. This concludes an episode of the Bible Dialogues. Thanks for watching.